Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rebel News live stream on this, a Monday, March 16th, 2026. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, before I tell you about my co-host, folks, do you know that today is National Panda Day? And I think it was absolute karma that my regular co-host, Sheila Gunn-Reid, couldn't make it because Sheila Gunn-Reid is on record as saying she wants to hunt, kill, and eat a panda bear, which I think will get her in trouble because it's still a vulnerable species right now. But my replacement co-host, well, she's as cute as a panda bear and probably just as smart. She is the she-devil with a spatula. She is the Khaleesi of Quebec. I'm speaking of Alexandra Lavoie. How you doing there, Miss Lavoie? And do you like panda bears?
But the thing is, you just say that I'm as cute as, does that mean that Sheila is going to hunt me down?
Oh, yeah. Well, that would be homicide, and I know for sure that's illegal. Yeah, so don't go to northern Alberta wearing a panda costume. Sheila might have her crossbow at the ready, and, you're a goner. But Alexa, to me, I think I speak for most of humanity when I say that the panda bear has to be the cutest animal on the face of the planet. I mean, it looks like a teddy bear. How does Sheila Gunn-Reid have resentment for this beautiful animal?
I don't know. I cannot even kill a fly. So for me, it's like a no. I remember when I was a little bit younger, much younger, I cried when I actually hit a fly, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? Yeah, I'm actually I have really a hard time to kill anything.
Well, unless the fly was the mutated fly from the original Fly movie where it had a human head on it, I would not mourn the passing of a fly. But Alexa, what are we here to do?
But we are here to talk about the news that just broke over the weekend, because daily live stream is every day from Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time. And we are here to discuss what happened and interact with the viewer. We are live streaming from YouTube and Rumble. If you want to send us super chat to interact with us, question us about some topics, you can do so, and it helped us to keep our light on at Rebel News. So we are here to entertain and inform the public.
100%. And of course, the news of the day on Saturday here in Toronto and in Montreal was the disgrace that is Quds Day. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were back in action, chanting genocide, supporting the Iranian regime. I mean, the way Quds Day is advertised, it's about support for the Palestinian people. It's about reclaiming Jerusalem. But really what it's about, it's a Jew hate fest. It's an Israel hate fest. And it is appalling to see. And the people that show up absolutely disgraceful reprobates, literally chanting death, not just for Jews in Israel. The one I attended, Alexa, there was one wonderful scholar who wanted to see America destroyed as well. So they're equal opportunity haters. But why don't we throw, I mean, speaking of disgraces, why don't we throw to a clip? Do we have a clip of Doug Ford, guys, making that statement? Yeah, this is really good, folks. Ford made the statement about 24 hours before the Academy Awards was televised. I think Ford was trying to get the Oscar for Best Liberal Two-Faced Liar. Before I go on, let's see what Ford has to say in those own words.
Well, good afternoon. Over the last few weeks, I've been disgusted and appalled by the open hatred and violence taking place in our country. We've seen synagogues and consulates shot at. We've seen entire communities targeted and intimidated. And just yesterday, right across the border, we've seen a hatred few of us can even imagine and understand. When a gunman attacked innocent Jewish worshipers inside a Michigan synagogue, we need to speak honestly and openly about the hatred that runs more rampant on our streets with each passing day. We need to speak hard truths some of us may not want to hear or acknowledge. I don't recognize our country, the Canada we know and love, a Canada that embraces differences, a Canada that celebrates diversity. That Canada is slipping away. If we don't stand up against the open hatred we see in our country today, more violence and hate will follow against every race, every religion, and every community, with deadly consequences. That brings me to tomorrow's Quds Day demonstration in Toronto. This demonstration is nothing more than a breeding ground for hate and anti-Semitism. It glorifies violence. It celebrates terrorism. It has no place in Ontario. It has no place in Canada. That's why today I've instructed my Attorney General Doug Downey to pursue an injunction that would stop this hateful demonstration. If we don't act now, if we don't act decisively, the hatred won't stop. Our government.
Wow, Al Pacino and Meryl Streep, look out. Alexa, everything Doug Ford said there was correct. So what's my problem? My problem is it's not genuine. Doug Ford, before he became premier in 2018, he became premier later that year, he said, when I become premier, this nonsense ends. That was 8 years ago, according to my math. And what did he do last week? 24 hours before the Quds Day demonstration in March is scheduled to happen, he goes off seeking an injunction? That was a no-hoper. There's no way that is going to be granted. So what I'm saying, Alexa, he should have done this 8 days ago, 8 weeks ago, 8 years ago, but he didn't. I think this is Doug Ford playing both sides. I think this is Doug Ford right now. If you were to scrum him, he would say, oh, well, folks, I tried to shut it down, but it's the court. They wouldn't let me. Your thoughts?
But first of all, it could have actually stopped it. Just saying that this celebration is unlawful by its purpose. The fact that it's spreading hatred and celebrating terrorism, what is already illegal under our law.
Yep.
So it could have actually just invoked the laws that are already existing. The thing is, it didn't do it. Another thing is, but he's the only premier speaking out about it. I didn't see anybody in Montreal or in Quebec speaking out about it, especially seeing the rise of hatreds and anti-Semitism growing in Montreal and Toronto. The fact that CACIS, one day after All Quds Day, is not speaking about anti-Semitism, but speaking about Islamophobia. One day after All Quds. I look at a CACIS Twitter account, X account. They never actually spoke about anti-Semitism. The only time they did, it was mixed with Islamophobia. But the amount of time that they spoke about Islamophobia, it's so unbalanced when we look at the reality on the ground and who is being attacked the most. It's not the mosque, or if there is, we will hear it from all news, that's for sure. But it is synagogue, it is the Jewish community. And another thing, not only we have politicians not speaking out about it in Quebec City, but I called you all today, and I wanted to tell you that. So I called you all to ask them if they condemn the use of their equipment during All Quds. They say no, they don't condemn it.
And Alexa, you've raised some great points. One I want to address is the media, the mainstream media, which means absolutely shameful. CBC Radio, if you can imagine, last week, they alluded to white supremacy as the cause of Canada's hate crime surge, implying it may have caused, that's white supremacy, may have caused the Michigan synagogue shooting, despite the shooter being Muslim. You know, what is this? Are these people unable to read? Secondly, going back to Ford in terms of what he could have done, and I totally agree with you. Under the criminal code, we have seen infractions for the last 2.5 years in terms of hate crimes. The cops do nothing. The brass does nothing. The mayors of your city and mine do nothing. I think they are actually on Team Hamas. But here's the thing, Alexa. Even without getting an injunction, Ford could have invoked the Emergencies Act, as he did in 2022 in Windsor. I was there covering it when they shut down the Freedom Convoy. These people meant no one any harm whatsoever, but he wouldn't go into his quiver for that tool. I wonder why, Alexa.
But first of all, we are saying it's cowardice. He's trying to play both sides and satisfy all the voters by saying, you know, I tried, but it's not my fault. As you say, it's the court decision. So, but by doing so, that means that next year and the year after and the year after, it's going to be the same thing. We are not going to stop this. The people who are celebrating that day, they will feel emboldened to do way more than just spewing hatred. Yep. We don't know. I saw from your video that a guy was literally mimicking like a stabbing. And I was like, oh my God, is it really true that this guy is just doing whatever he wants and there is no consequences?
Oh, Alexa, I waded into the belly of the beast, the demonstrators for supporting the Iranian regime, people a regime killing tens of thousands of their own people. I felt like I was in Gotham City and there was just a jailbreak at Arkham Asylum. These were unhinged, crazy, violent people. I bet you some of them aren't even citizens. So what the hell are they doing in Canada? Like, about 700 plus IRGC members. And it is shocking. Premier Ford is right. I don't recognize my city and province anymore, but I don't have the power to do anything. The Premier does. And you know what, Alexa? If he is genuine, if he is serious about shutting down Al Quds Day, then how about getting the Attorney General into court tomorrow to shut down the 2027 Al Quds Day? You've got 363 days to do that, so it's not a rush job. Are they going to wait till the 11th hour again next year to do this political kabuki theater?
Obviously they will, but I wish that in Quebec, they start doing something about it. In Montreal, they feel so emboldened that now not only they are glorifying Hamas, but now it's Hezbollah, it's Houthis, it's IRGC, it's all the terrorist organizations that exist in the Middle East. So the problem is, it's not about only one cause. It's about the whole thing. The fact that those pro-Palestinian protests, sorry, I would do this because it's not about Palestine anymore. It's about the destruction of the West. It's about spreading their ideology. It's about hating the very people who actually welcome them here.
100%, Alexa. And that is why I support this mission by the U.S. and Israel in Iran. That is why the only terms of surrender are unconditional surrender. Unconditional, just like Japan in 1945. They wanted conditions on it, and the U.S. was essentially forced to drop a second atomic bomb, this time on Nagasaki after first bombing Hiroshima. And yet, when you deal with the people, I was talking about how unhinged the people are. Imagine, and Alexa, I got to tell you, I live in Richmond Hill, just north of Toronto. Significant Persian population there. About 14% of the population are Persians. And I have never met a single one in support of the regime. Well, that's not true. The ex-Liberal MP, Majid Johari, yeah, he was in support of the regime, right? But everyone else, every single person wants regime change. And when I spoke to one person there, when I talked about how the Ayatollahs were killing tens of thousands of their own people just in a few recent weeks alone, a lot of them young people, his answer to me was, oh, that wasn't the Ayatollahs, that wasn't the IRGC. I said, well, who was killing them? He said, it was the Mossad. The Mossad? I said, well, if that's the Mossad, why would Iran allow the Mossad into Iran and kill their own citizens? And at that point, he said a string of expletives to my face and personally insulted me. And the debate was effectively over. So this is the mentality we are dealing with. And I just can't believe in a Western democracy, there are people coming with posters of the original Ayatollah Khomeini and the most recently dearly departed, well, not so much, Khomeini, and lauding them as heroes, when in fact, as you alluded to with those four groups, Iran has been the greatest funder of terrorism in the world now for years.
And the point is, I'm like you, I support what is happening. I think Iranians should have now the freedom in their country, but we need to ask our government to now be more strict and do more background check of everybody who tries to come to Canada. We are seeing people now just fleeing Iran to come and immigrate into Canada. We don't want to turn into like the next Iran where IRGC is just running around freely in our country.
Well, they are. That's the thing. And also when it comes to public safety, Alexa, I mean, do you have any faith in Gary, whose last name I cannot pronounce, the public safety minister? Yeah. A minister of public safety who has to recuse himself when cases involving Tamil Tiger terrorists come up. Because, in a different life, he was trying to get them to come into Canada. I mean, this is a disgrace. This is a joke without a punchline.
And especially when you see like Conservative MP Melissa Lensman, who came out last week asking the government to do something regarding IRGC, and she looked like she was scared.
Oh, no. Yeah, I saw that clip. And can you blame her? I mean, we have Jewish synagogues and private girls' schools being shot up, routinely shot up and vandalized. And it's like a collective shrug. The chief of police, Myron Demkew, he was nowhere to be found last week. The mayor, I don't know where she was. I think maybe she was at a boutique getting fitted for a costume for Caravana coming up. Our cosplaying mayor, Olivia Chow. What has your mayor and police chief in Montreal, Alexa, what did they say about this, or were they also AWOL?
Oh, silence. We literally, since the new mayor have been elected, we don't hear about her that much. We don't hear anything. The condition of Montreal is worsening. We have pothole that is actually beginning to be so big that you can actually disappear in it. It's true.
And that's in a Ford Expedition, not a Mazda Miata.
And now all the money is going to protect those hateful protesters during the weekend.
And Alexa, this isn't conjecture because we saw what happened with Sean Foyt when he tried to have a concert in Montreal. If Quds Day, it wasn't about this anti-Jew, anti-Israel hate. If this was the Ku Klux Klan getting together, 2,000 Klans members who were going to march downtown.
I'm sorry, you don't even need that. Just say a bunch of Christians who are there for against abortion.
There you go. But the point is, it wouldn't be tolerated.
No,
it wouldn't be
not.
a free speech issue. It wouldn't be, well, you know what, we have to be culturally sensitive. No, that would never happen. So why the double standard?
This is all about double standard. We know that our city is being run by far-left mayor who have their own ideology and shut down the others' point of view. This is what I call fascism. But as I say, we attack always one side, but we allow actually way worse the other side. Like Sean Ford, what was it? It was just like, just praying gods, and there were nothing hateful in the speech. It was just like a little bit of music mixed with, worshiping. So when we look at this and we saw police trying to shut down, mayor actually laying a fines to the church, and then we have those people who are marching, glorifying terrorists and spewing hatred towards a visible group. There is nothing done about it.
And my theory, Alexa, and I might be wrong, but I don't think I am, it's that the politicians have done the mathematics. They know that there's 5 times more Muslims than Jews in Canada right now. And I'm not implying that every Muslim is on team hate and team terror. I'm not saying that at all. But a significant portion might be, or at least the war room thinks that way. And so the idea of coming out in defense of a smaller voting bloc, potentially, is not good politics in terms of getting votes. I go back more than a year ago when the Speaker of the Ontario Legislature, he banned the keffiyeh, the scarf, from the House because there's a steadfast rule. You cannot bring political symbols into the House. And who raised the biggest outcry about that? Premier Doug Ford. Because at the time, there was a by-election going on in Mississauga, Alexa, with a significant Muslim population. And I bet Doug Ford, or at least his handlers, the guys really making the decisions, because let's face it, Ford is being led around like a circus donkey by the nose. They said, hey, listen, this doesn't play that well in this riding. So Ford did all this bluster of this being wrong when the Speaker was right. You cannot bring any political symbol into the House, and the keffiyeh is such a symbol. Last word goes to you on this Quds disgrace story.
Yeah, but again, what you just mentioned is playing both sides of the fence, trying to please everybody. It's not working. When you do that, you actually lose credibility.
Yep.
You just show that you don't stand for your own value. You just try to buy votes. But regarding that all Quds protest, I'm not really surprised. We had two. In Montreal. One at night on the Friday night, because usually Al Quds, it's actually on the last day of the Ramadan. Yep. So obviously Montreal for Palestine organized their own on the Friday. But since the two groups are not mixing to each other, we saw the other group, that is the youth movement for Palestine, or the Palestinian youth movement, that organized their own on the Saturday. They don't mix to each other. I know why, because on the Saturday, most of the time it's student, it's LGBTQ activists, and I've been told that those people are not welcome during the Sunday. It's the Muslim who are protesting.
Isn't that amazing? And and you hit upon an interesting point. At the demonstration, there was a contingent of people identifying themselves as communists. They had the hammer and sickle flag. And Alexa, there's that old saying, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Going back some 47 years ago, when the Iranian Revolution took place in 1979, it was the Islamists and the Marxists that got together to get regime change in terms of getting the Shah out of power. And one of the very first things the Ayatollahs did was round up the leftists and hang them from cranes. And here we are, 47 years later. It's as though it never happened. It's as though we're in a parallel universe. Those same loony leftists are getting into bed with the Islamists. And I can only see this ending badly. And the only reason they get together, Alexa, is they both have the same goal. For the Islamists, tear down Western society, rebuild it as a Islamist utopia. For the Marxists, same deal, tear down capitalism, rebuild it as a communist society, which has never worked in the course of human history. But maybe next time we're going to nail it. And for that reason, we have seen for the past 2.5 years, these two diverse groups get together on campuses, on streets. And I just think, regardless of who wins, the day, Alexa, it's not going to end badly. It's not going to end nicely, I should say.
Yeah, because Marxism is literally against all religion, because they say that the religion is actually... how I can phrase that? They are against patriarchy. They are against, all what the religion represents. But the Islamist is actually to build a theocratic government. So you can see that both of them oppose literally on the core value of what they are fighting for. So it's obvious that all this would not end up well.
That's a fantastic point you just made. And I guess next time I'm at one of these demonstrations, I should ask the Islamist part, what do you think of the Marxists that hate all religions, including yours, and see what they say? One last point, Alexa. I am sure in Montreal, much like Toronto, for the last 2.5 years now, and these other things like Al Quds Day rallies, the cost of policing has been in the millions. And Alexa, as you know, 2 weeks ago, I was covering the constitutional challenge launched by Adam Skelly, who formerly had Adamson Barbecue. He had the temerity to open up his barbecue restaurant in Toronto. In addition to being fined, in addition to being arrested and incarcerated, in addition to being put into bankruptcy, do you know, Alexa, he still has an invoice from the city for $187,000 to pay for the policing. My question to you, why does Adam Skelly have to pay for the policing and the Hamas holes get off scot-free?
And by the way, those pro-Hamas, the bill is way, way worse than that.
Oh, I know.
We can count on hundreds of thousands of dollars. But why do we have to pay that? This is outrageous.
Yeah, No, I agree. And if that's the deal, that demonstrations have to pay the policing costs, why does Adam Skelly have to pay his, but the Al Quds people, it's on the House? And you're right, it's a magnitude more of money. I think for 2024, the calendar year, I'm going by memory, I'm pretty sure the City of Toronto spent $19 million on policing costs for these, weekend, pro-Hamas rallies. And it's absolutely despicable. Alexa,
wait, we have not only us, the pro-Hamas, we also have the Antifa, we have the LGBT, whatever, activists, we have the anti-police, we have all the radicals are protesting, and it's every week now. Imagine like how much the city of Montreal is spending on policing.
Yeah, like I said, if Toronto's an example, it's in the tens of millions of dollars per year. And again, there's a steak dinner in it for any of you watching. If you can explain why the barbecue restaurateur gets a bill and these people professing hatred do not, because I don't get it. Alexa, we're at the halfway mark already. Time flies when you're having fun. Let's throw to our ad break, and we'll see you on the other side, folks.
Budget 2026 is focused on what matters, including record investments in education. Budget 2026 is focused on giving students the best opportunities to succeed. That's why we're following through on our commitment to hire 3,000 more teachers and 1,500 more EAs. It also focuses on fast-tracking the construction and renovation of 161 schools across the province. Budget 2026, focused on what matters.
Gun bans make great distraction.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same rhetoric.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted, while criminals run wild under Liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
Canadians know the national anthem. They stand in silence to remember those who died for this country. But not every Canadian knows their rights and freedoms. The Freedom Passport will change that. It looks and feels like a Canadian passport, but contains the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a portable, easy-to-read format. The Freedom Passport. Order one for yourself and for all the freedom lovers that you love at freedompassport.ca.
We're back. So I am going to talk about one of our ads. It's from Rumble Wallet. So they can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you are allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money. You're not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, Bitcoin in one secure place, no permission, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. This is not a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family when the system fails. When institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet is not about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today, download Rumble Wallet now, and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, and true financial freedom. And that's true because remember during the Freedom Convoy, what they did with the bank account of the protester, just deciding, oh, you gave $5 to the convoy and we are going to shut your bank account. That was just insane.
I have never seen Fraulein Freeland so happy. She was bouncing up and down, smiling like the Cheshire Cat, all about going after Canadian donors, as you said, to the GoFundMe account to fund the freedom protest. And just to put an exclamation mark on our last subject, meanwhile, the real haters, the pro-terrorists, the vandals and the violent people, what are you going to do? Turn a blind eye. It's unbelievable, Alexa. So a great product from our friends at Rumble. Now, speaking of violence, self-defense is very much a talking point these days because, let's face it, our country in so many cities and towns, it's a record crime wave and violent crime too, and including home invasions where people are getting injured or even murdered. And what do the authorities and the politicians say? Well, you know what? Don't use any excessive force, right? You know, maybe a wooden spatula, but nothing beyond that. That Toronto police officer who said, you know, can you leave your keys at an accessible area at the front of the door? Because we want to deal with all that crime scene cleanup. And he didn't say this, but he may as well. You know, make sure the gas tank is full. We don't want Muggsy running out of petrol during his getaway. Well, guess what? Liberal MP Rudy Sahota is saying that this Liberal government will not support legal protections for Canadians acting in self-defense. Roll it.
Can you commit Canadians that if any homeowner won't be charged if armed intruders enter their property?
We don't want to create a system where people feel they have the right to shoot and kill somebody.
People understand people's fear of being victimized in their home. People are concerned to leave their children at home at night when they go out, and it's absolutely an issue.
Oh, it's absolutely an issue, all right. And Ruby is on the wrong side of it, Alexa. I love what Pierre Poilievre had to say after a few high-profile home invasions, and that is the Conservatives, if elected, if they form government, will fix the self-defense law so that this business about not using excessive or unnecessary force, which nobody can define what that means, you will be allowed to use lethal force if somebody invades your home. That's the right call. What say you?
But when I see what is happening, I don't know if you saw, but just a couple of days ago, there were owner of a convenience store that was stabbed to death by someone who actually already committed a homicide in BC. What the man was supposed to do? Like, he actually got killed, but he could have actually have something to defend his convenience store, and he would not have ended up dead. You know, This is a thing. Like, we are seeing now some people who are scared to be at their home at night because they don't know if they will have an home invasion, because there is an increase of home invasion. There is also a risk for owner of shops. We never know when people would just show up to get the money or get like all kind of stuff in your home, because it's what they want. They want your car, they want your money, they want your jewelry, but you need to be at home because they need to know where you hide them.
Oh, 100%. And let us not forget the Jeremy McDonald case in Lindsay, Ontario, Alexa, when a man broke into his apartment at 3 a.m, when nothing good ever happens, armed with a loaded crossbow that could take down a moose. And Jeremy fought back and he got charged. I mean, this is insane. You know what? You see, here's the deal. when you are in your own private dwelling, especially at that time of day, Alexa, there's nowhere else to run. You are across the finish line. And like animals in the animal kingdom, when you're in a confrontational a situation, it's fight or flight. Well, the flight part, that's not justifiable because there's nowhere to run. So you have to fight. And again, this garbage from law enforcement and politicians, yeah, but don't use unreasonable or excessive force. What is the definition of that? I can tell you, and maybe I want to hear your opinion, Alexa. If somebody broke into my home and my wife and children are there at 3 a.m. and they have a weapon of lethal force, I'm not going to go, let me think this through. Maybe I can use a plastic hammer from the toy kit as a weapon. Maybe I can use an open palmed slap because I don't want to be excessive or use unnecessary force. No, I am filled with adrenaline. I am in Papa Bear mode, and I'm going to do anything, including murdering that invader if need be. And I and anyone else should not be punished for that. And it's a hell of a punishment, too, because you can be found not guilty in a court of law. In the meantime, it's taken up months, maybe even years of your life, a 6-figure legal bill, which puts most people these days underwater. So the process is the penalty. She is nuts. We need a new law that allows homeowners to use lethal force for home invaders. What say you?
But look at what she's saying, the MP. She's literally saying, we don't want to incite people that they have the freedom to kill someone. What are you talking about? We are talking about a serious problem of home invasion, of criminals coming inside your property, your own place. Already this is a crime. So I'm sorry, if it's coming with a weapon, I should have the right to reply and to defend myself and the people who live under my roof.
100%. And also, do you think Ruby Sahota is anytime, anywhere, in any kind of personal danger? She'll have security, armed security, by the way, right? Yeah. And probably lives in a secure facility. And I don't want anything bad to happen to her. I know Premier Ford, he has 1, sometimes 2 police cruisers at his house 24/7. They have lethal force. What I'm getting at, Alexa, if it's good enough for the politicians to have lethal force protecting them, why not just Joe and Jane citizen?
And by the way, it's their problem why we are seeing so much violence and crime. It's because of them. It's because of the 10 years of the Liberals that we saw. It's their policy about mass immigration. It's their policy about destroying our economy and releasing criminals on our streets and not actually charging them and putting them in jail. So it's because of them that ordinary citizens are now in danger. They should have the rights to defend themselves because they don't live in our reality. Those politicians don't know what ordinary citizens live on their daily basis.
You're 100%. Another great point, Alexa. This crime wave is the Liberals doing. There are people on parole, out on bail for super serious crimes. I think the worst one I came across was second-degree murder. And if that's the case, if we can't trust our politicians and our police to protect us, we have to internalize that, And yet, I'm telling you, those Antifa thugs, I've seen them attack you many times. You're very brave. If you ever had the temerity to take out mace or pepper spray or bear spray and give them a shot of that, I know you are going to be arrested by the Montreal police.
And I travel a lot in my life, and I've been to Central and South America. And, for them, at one point, they were hiring security for enforcing safety in their neighborhood. Are we now going to need to pay for our own security because we cannot defend ourselves inside our home?
You know what? There are stories of this happening, neighborhood watch groups. So yeah, I think inevitable. That is inevitable. It's unfortunate, but you know what's more unfortunate? You being seriously injured or killed because you did nothing and you placed your trust in the authorities. That's the real tragedy. So I can see that happening. Wow, so many subjects here, Alexa. How about why don't we go out west to Manitoba? Oh, talk about Trump derangement syndrome from the Manitoba NDP Premier, of course. That would be Wab Kinew. He says the Iranian war, it's not a real war. It's just a distraction, you see. Check it out.
Help this war in Iran ends. These gas prices are too high, and kids are being killed for no reason. Even the Trump administration cannot explain why they're at war in Iran right now. And I mean, like, the Epstein file seems to be as good of a reason as anyone else can figure out. So stop the war. So we're going to keep an eye on it. We're always going to be there to help you. We cut the gas tax once. We brought it down permanently afterwards. So we're going to be there to help with the cost of living. But right now, Donald Trump is public enemy number one when it comes to our economy. Help this war in Iran.
Unbelievable. Donald Trump, Alexa, I fully believe will be remembered as one of the greatest presidents ever to serve in the White House. And with regards to Kinew saying there's no clear reason why we're there is a clear reason. This is the number one sponsor of global terrorism in the world. It has played their cards. They go, we want to kill the little Satan, Israel, and then the big Satan, the USA. They were trying as hard as they could to get nuclear weapons. And if they kill tens of thousands of their own people, mostly young people, you don't think they're going to use it against Israelis and Americans? So,
by the way, they already killed our own people. Remember the flight?
The Ukrainian airliner of January 2020, that's right. There is literal Canadian blood on the hands of the IRGC and the Iranian regime. What I'm getting at, Alexa, is that you might you remember when they took out the nuclear facilities in Iran, and basically the messaging from the regime is, yeah, you blew up our facilities, but you know what? You didn't blow up our knowledge. We're going to rebuild. We're going to make bombs. They were playing their cards openly. Trump, I feel, had no other alternative, as well as Israel, to take out this regime permanently. They have indicated they are a clear and present danger. And let's face it, the vast majority of Iranians want these murderous thug ayatollahs gone too. That's the agenda. And I don't know what the timelines are for building nuclear bombs and putting them on missiles that can go across the ocean to America. But this is about saving yourself, saving your children, saving your grandchildren, because these maniacs in Tehran would think nothing of starting a nuclear war.
And by the way, it's not because we are waiting for Epstein file that all other action is incompatible, okay? You can do other things in the same time. It's not like, oh, because we are on this folder, we can't actually touch others, okay? Yes, Epstein file, there is something that is happening with that. But the thing is, it was the best moment for Donald Trump to act in Iran. We were seeing the people in Iran rising up. We knew that we had a big problem with terrorism and threats. We knew that we had a problem with the regime that is not only killing their own people, but they are oppressing their own people. So at one point, other presidents in the United States say that they would do something regarding Iran. They did nothing.
100%. And as you well know, just 2 years ago, look what happened to me when I was scrumming Chrystia Freeland, rather. Uncle Fester of the Mounties falsely arrested and assaulted me. And that was simply for asking the question, why isn't the IRGC registered as an official terror group? My only sin, Alexa, is I was just ahead of the curve because several months later, finally the Liberals did the right thing. But it's just unbelievable what we're dealing with in terms of the media spin out there. And you're quite right. Just because there's Epstein files news happening doesn't mean you can't multitask on other things, especially when you are the president of the USA. Let's switch over to, speaking of disgraceful media, Pierre Poilievre was launching his idea of strengthening the auto industry, the domestic auto industry. It's very lengthy, and I don't think we have time to get into the details. But the funny thing, and I say that funny in terms of perversely ironic, was the CBC reporter was pressing Poilievre why it took him a year to unveil his auto plan. Keep in mind, unfortunately, Mr. Poilievre isn't the Prime Minister, but check this exchange out.
Hi there, this is Pratyush Dayal from CBC News Windsor. How will giving Canadian-made vehicles preferential tax treatment encourage, Trump to lift his tariffs?
Well, the objective is to, what we're going to do to get the tariffs removed is put forward this plan that I've laid out, a Canadian proposed auto pack for North America. And how will we get Trump to agree? Well, the plan that we're putting forward allows both the United States and Canada to massively increase their production by incentivizing automakers to match a car made with a car sold. So that is how we're going to get the United States to agree to removing tariffs. I just came back from Detroit, where I met with the Detroit automakers. They want to see the tariffs removed, and they believe that they could increase production on their side of the border if we put an end to these tariffs. At the same time, we want to incentivize people to buy Canadian. Removing the GST gives them a 5% advantage, and we will be encouraging premiers to do the same on their share of the sales tax. So we could end up with a very large financial advantage for Canadians who go into a dealership to buy Canadian and support our Canadian production.
It's also been nearly a year since, Trump has gone ahead and imposed 232 tariffs on Canadian autos. Why are we just hearing about this plan now?
Well, we've been fighting for Canada ever since President Trump made these tariffs. And, you asked me about my plan. Where is Mark Carney's plan? He's been Prime Minister now for a year. We still have no idea what his plan is to counter these tariffs. None. First, he was for counter tariffs. Then he secretly removed them. First, he said he would have a deal by last July. Then he broke that promise. Now, we don't know if he ever plans to get back to the negotiating table, what demands he's making when he gets there, and what concessions he's prepared to offer. We know nothing about his plan for automobiles other than that he seems to be waving the white flag on regaining access to the U.S. market and has some vague illusion of sending electric vehicles that we don't currently make to markets into which we don't currently sell. So I think it's time to start asking Mark Carney, what is his plan a year after he was elected on the promise that he would negotiate a win?
I have to disagree slightly with Mr. Poilievre in terms of we don't know Mr. Carney's plans, Alexa, when it comes to the auto industry. One plan is to invest billions and billions with a B dollars into EV battery plants, which I firmly believe, given the demand for EV vehicles, these are going to be white elephants, as our colleague Sheila Goodread says. They're probably going to be refitted as casinos in the years ahead. Secondly, another part of the plan, open up Canada for the importation of cheap Chinese EVs to help the domestic auto industry. Alexa, can you explain to me, I know it's National Panda Bear, and sometimes I feel like a bear with very, very little brain. How does allowing cheap EV cars from China to come into Ontario undercut the EV market? How does that help our domestic auto industry?
It doesn't help.
No.
This is a sweet fix that we call it. By importing cheap car, we will please the population that cannot afford a cheap car at the moment. So it's what he's doing. But the thing is, Poilievre is right. We need to start reindustrializing our country, starting making stuff, starting refining stuff, starting doing it here at home. We will create jobs. We will accelerate our GDP. At the moment, it's the same thing. You know, when they saw that our GDP was actually going down, they imported massively immigrants that actually increased the GDP. But the thing is, we got poorer by individual in the country. This is sweet fix. He's not fixing anything. Carney is just trying to hide stuff by using sweet fixing. And then he pretend that he fixed the problem. He didn't fix the problem. We will be better, we will be worse off in the future just because of his decision.
You know what? It's interesting you mention mass migration in terms of the EV file, because I can tell you, Alexa, I visited the Windsor EV battery plant that's under construction. It was a joint venture between LG and Stellantis. Stellantis has walked away. They go, see, yeah, this EV utopia ain't going to happen. But the amazing thing is, even if you were on the fence about EVs and taxpayer dollars being used to subsidize EV battery plants, you could always say that, well, at least for a little while, there'll be great full-time, well-paying jobs at these plants. Well, riddle me this, Alexa. Why are there 1,500 Koreans working at this plant? There's no reason for it. I reached out to the union. He told me that all the trades that we have in Windsor could do those jobs. And by the way, Alexa, Windsor right now, 11.2% unemployment, the worst unemployment rate since records were kept. So
I invite the people to watch the interview of Ezra Levin with Garnet Genuis. It was actually amazing. It was actually about job unemployment. It's insane the level of job unemployment here in Canada, and it just continues to grow. And most of them, it's the first job of the youth, like working at the Tim Hortons or working like at other business like McDonald's. Those jobs are important, but unfortunately, it's just like we still import a lot of people, a lot of visa for working visa. I just don't understand why.
Well, my monologue for Ezra last week gave my theory, and it's this. The biggest voting bloc for the Liberals are the baby boomers. And no, I'm not knocking baby boomers. I am a baby boomer. But the Liberals are smart. They know this is a demographic literally dying off. The oldest baby boomers are now entering their 80s. So what do you have to do? Well, you've got to replace the voting bloc, Alexa, because younger people are swinging towards the Conservative Party right now.
I wonder why.
Yeah, well, I know why, because they're not buying what the Liberals are selling. So you bring in mass migration, and the unspoken quid pro quo deal here is, hey, every 4 years, just check Team Red at the ballot box. That is why we are seeing this. And it is a disgrace. And you know what? The baby boomers, the joke's going to be on them, Alexa, because these costs we're obtaining are unsustainable. And you mark my words, the Liberals will have no choice, if they're still in government in the years ahead, to bring in a capital gains tax on your primary residence. And most primary residence owners are the boomers. Oh boy, I wonder how that's going to go down. So that's my theory, and it's an absolute disgrace. Alexa, we're quickly running out of racetrack here. Do we have any super chats to read?
No, we don't.
Oh my goodness, a shutout, which is good if you're a goalie, but not so good if you're But we do have a cringe video. It might be an exclusive. My police source, who I shall not mention, because I don't know if he wants to be mentioned for this one, he sent it my way. Will you see this police work? And at the end of it, I'm going to tell you what the cost is going to be to you, the taxpayer. Check it out. Oh, Mad Lab Press. Thanks, Olivia.
Are you kidding?
So here's what we know in the aftermath. It was a female rookie cop. The cost of replacing that automated gate is going to be between $25,000 and $30,000. But Alexa, how did that happen? My only theory, and I think it's a valid one, she must have been on her phone. How could you not see a giant iron gate in front of you? But at least we know why on those Ford Expeditions, why they put those big cow catchers on the front bumper. So at least the cruiser itself isn't going to get damaged. But what do you make of that?
I think she tried to accelerate at one point, and I was like, you missed it. You know how to accelerate? Or just don't go. It took her how long to just start the car? And I was like, go, but
Yeah.
go. I think the reflex there is not actually working well. But yeah, obviously, the price of reparation will be transferred to us. That's for sure.
And this is a person who is entrusted with lethal force, you know. But I don't know. I'll try to look in more to this story. But you know, and I know women have a bad rap as bad drivers. Are you a bad driver?
That's not true. That's not true. I'm actually a really good driver.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Lady Menzoy, not so much. When she got her new SUV a couple of years ago, she called me. She said, I hit a tree. I said, you hit a tree? She said, it wasn't my fault. I honked the horn.
Aww.
Anyway. Okay.
Before we leave, I want to highlight my reports about the Palestinian refugee.
Yes.
Quickly, you know, I was going to cover the Iranian protests in Montreal, and I was getting out of the metro station, and I walked face to face with the infamous Palestinian refugee who was seen filming herself with the Halloween decoration and saying like F white people and F Westerner. So when I saw her, I was just like, can you actually explain what you meant by that?
This is a double cringe video.
Yeah, she meltdown on me. So I don't know if we can just put like a small part of it.
Harassing me. Why did you hate the white people? Why did you met people?
Fuck you as well.
I don't want to talk to a piece of decoration.
Mind your own business. That's your business. Piece of shit. Fuck off. You're not fucking indigenous. You're white as fuck. Where are you from? Because your fucking country is killing my people. Do you know that or not? Your fucking Canada, the government, is funding Israel.
Hamas attacked Israel on October 7.
Fuck you, asshole. Fuck you, asshole. You just like this bullshit to go like have views, right? You're fucking ugly. You're fucking ugly.
Muslim country.
That's none of your fucking business. Fuck off, piece of shit. White supremacist piece of shit. Shut the fuck up. Pieces of shit like you.
And you hate our culture.
Pieces of shit like you.
Do you want to say deportations.com for
Fuck you, asshole. Fuck you, asshole. White supremacist Zionist piece of shit.
Okay, so you need to know a couple of things, okay? She actually went and crossed the metro station, so she was free to live because she was actually on the side to go and get the subway. I was still outside, but she came back on the other side because she wanted attention. She wanted attention, like, because what I was saying, it was true. On her Instagram, she's been saying F Canada, F the French language, F the English language, F Quebec, F everything that we actually represent. She came and asked refugee in 2019 from the US. And you need to remember that from the US in 2019, it was impossible to claim refugee. So she probably crossed at Roxham Road, as many as crossed in the past. She had been charged and arrested for harassing criminally Mark Miller, where she camped for several, I would say, days and maybe months. The charges were dropped at the end of the day. And her husband, that I think now they are divorced, but they came here together in 2019. He openly said that one of Hamas member is actually part of his family. So I don't know what CSIS is doing. I don't know what our CBSA and our government is doing, but how come those people really hate who we are as Canadian, were able to come here and claim a refugee?
You know, and talk about being an ingrate. It is outrageous. It's beyond the pale. I'll give you my two observations of that interaction. I jotted down in my notepad here, Alexa. Number one, do you notice how the Islamists are borrowing the talking points of the Marxists? You're not indigenous, you're a white supremacist, no one is illegal on stolen land, etc., etc. That's all the loony left stuff that these cats are embracing. Secondly, she called you ugly. And you know, I'm going to tell you a little story. The late, great Maggie Thatcher, the Prime Minister of the UK, she was once asked by an interviewer, how do you react to people making comments about the way you look, making comments about your weight? And Prime Minister Thatcher says, I'm delighted when that happens. Because when you do an ad hominem attack on me, that means you've lost the debate. You know, you don't have any substance for your argument anymore, so now you've resorted to personal attacks. So wear that as a badge of honor, Alexa, and hopefully I won't get in trouble with the Human Resources Department here. You're not ugly. You're the opposite of ugly. You are beautiful inside and out, so don't let that creature ruin your day. So there.
It's just really, really sad because, you know, there is real refugee in this world who will kill to come and immigrate here and integrate and to share and to love our country and our culture. But unfortunately, it seems like Canada choose like all kind of like the worst individual that I don't know what is happening, but I don't understand why we have so much people who hate us.
Oh, and you know, and Alexa, it's not a one-off. And even south of the border, Ilhan Omar, who came from Somalia. And if she was still in Somalia, she'd probably be impoverished or maybe not even alive. And now, as a politician in Minnesota, she is one of the biggest anti-American voices out there. She is continually denouncing America and everything it stands for. And she's a woman of the people. Unbelievable. So anyways,
but this woman is not because of what she did, because she was a high family in politics where she were coming from. And for what she did, she could have faced actually accountability, that we call it.
Yes. Well, and speaking of accountability, there are allegations that she committed immigration fraud by pretending she was married to her brother. So if that comes to fruition, pack your bags and say bye-bye. Mogadishu, here I come, right? Alexa, we really got to cut it here. Thank you so much for substituting for Sheila Gunn-Reid. And folks, Sheila Gunn-Reid, she will be here tomorrow with the lovely Lise Merle. Don't you dare miss that. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And I'll see you on Friday for our Rebel News panel discussion. In the meantime, as always, Stay safe and stay sane.
Big news, Rebel News now has premium memberships on X, Locals, and right here on YouTube. For just $4.99 a month on YouTube, you'll get loyalty badges, custom emojis, and access to members-only chats during our live streams. At $8.99 a month, you'll also unlock Rebel News Plus shows and our documentaries. But here's the catch. YouTube could cancel that premium tier at any time. That's why the best way to support us is at rebelnewsplus.com. It's just $8 a month, cheaper if you go annual, and you'll get exclusive extras like an ad-free site, comments access, and even the chance to submit op-eds. Wherever you join us, thanks for keeping our independent journalism alive and strong.